And welcome to Sasquatch Says on the Answers 42 Media Network. I am your host, Dan Wetstein. Unfortunately, we don't have Callie. She is working. It is her birthday, so I'm sure she's busy, so I am sorry. More than likely, we will not have Callie. I don't have an exact location on her or where she's at, so I'm sorry I can't give you specific details. If she shows up, we'll definitely get her in the show. But wanted to go ahead and get going. So that way we can give you all the content that you deserve and you're not waiting on us and it's the other way around. But we have plenty of ads to talk about. We got 4 games to go through. Unfortunately, only 2 of them are happy since we last spoke last Thursday. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, the Blues beat the Avalanche in a game I predicted for the Avalanche to win 5-3. They lost 4-1 in game two. Um, to me, there was 2 things that came down to the loss in this game. There was your obvious, the defense was off a bit. They gave up more shots on goals, and things of that nature than they had in games prior or since, even in yesterday's loss. So, yeah, we had all kinds of fun things happening in that 4-1 loss. Like I said, the real big storylines were the defense or the goaltending, which was the biggest bugaboo for the Avalanche in that game. To me personally, it was the goaltending. It was not good enough. Uh, in that game, Kemper saw 31 shots, stopped 28 for a 903 save percentage. That sounds okay. That sounds good until you look at the fact that the only time the Avs have lost in this series is when Kemper has been below a .910 save percentage. This was just not good enough. It was okay, but it wasn't good enough on a night that the sticks went quiet. It was one of the rare occasions in this playoffs that the Avalanche were pretty much shut down by the opponent. Uh, the only other one being their 2-1 win in the previous series against the Nashville Predators. But outside of these 2 games, the offense has been immaculate. It has been otherworldly. I mean, all of the adverbs, hyperbole, whatever you can use, it has applied to this offense. The one thing that has been a constant worry, and it's something we talked about before the playoffs even started, and Callie agrees, is that this goaltending with Kemper, it's so infuriating. You will have where he was absolutely immaculate for 2 periods yesterday, and then he'll have a stinker period or a stinker game like he had in game two against um, the St. Louis Blues in this one 4-1. So yes, you can put some on the defense for giving up more shots than normal, but there were still 22 blocked shots. So that means that the Blues shot over 50 pucks at the goal. Only 31 of them made it through to Kemper, but they still took that many shots at the goal. Eventually, you got to think if you're giving up that many opportunities, a couple are going to fall through. Um, I know everybody's going to point to game one with Bennington standing on his head and things of that nature, but that doesn't happen every night. That's a once in a series, once in a lifetime type performance. It's not something you're going to get every night, but also you can't have the inconsistency of a Kemper who, like I said, can go from looking like an elite goalie to below replacement level. It's it's insane. I wish I had Callie here because I would love to bounce some ideas off of her head, talking about like where does she see it. She sees things in a different way than even I do. But beyond that, just the fact that this man can't stay consistent is the fly in the ointment right now. It's the reason why the Avalanche are still fighting to get to their first conference final in over a decade. It's not because of the defense. It's not because of the offense. Again, this is the only night that the Avalanche have not scored at least 2 goals, and only one of 2 nights where they scored less than 5 or 4. I'm sorry, they did have another game where they scored 4. So they've only had 2 games where they scored less than 4. and yet we're sitting here with a 3-2 lead instead of a 4-1 series win simply because of the goaltending. That is what cost the Avalanche in this game and every other game that they've had either struggles or a loss in. So, speaking on goaltending and this team, what is it that makes things so unique for goalies in Denver? And this is something that has been talked about with the national media, even, is the fact that you can go 10, 15 minutes. Sorry, I want to make sure that's not Callie. Yes. Yes, it is. Okay. So it is Callie. Unfortunately, she is on her way to a 911 call. Just letting her know. Thanks for the update. Okay. Just letting her know that we are here and that if she feels like jumping in when she is free and gets back from the 911 call and saving possible toes, then she can jump in. But let's go ahead and get back. Goaltending being unique for the Colorado Avalanche. Again, it's something that probably has been talked about ad nauseum for some people that really watch all of the pre games and post games, but it is extremely unique in Colorado to play goaltender because of how much talent is on the defensive uh, pairings on every line where they can stop 22 shots and you may not see a puck get to you for 10, 15 minutes at a time, maybe even more in real time. Game time is probably a little bit less, and that's probably more like, you know, 5 to 7 minutes. But again, that's a long time to sit there and keep yourself into the game. So, yes, there is a unique aspect to playing goaltender for this team, but you have to be better. If you have that type of talent in front of you that is consistently scoring 5+ goals a game, you should not be losing any of those games. Like, yes, it makes sense. The 4-1 game, your team only scored one. Well, that's the one game where Kemper had to be at his best and he wasn't. That's a problem. I don't want to I don't want to pound too hard on the guy because he has been the one that got this team to this point. So there's obviously some value in having Kemper in goal. But I want to ask all of Avalanche territory, are you wanting to see Francois? Do you want to see Frankie at this point? Me personally, despite all of my wrangling, despite all of my hand wringing, I still say you got to stay with Kemper. Just if for nothing else, the experience. The man has been here. He's done that. He's been deep in deep playoff runs before. He knows what it takes. So here is to me believing that these are one-offs like these nights, and they will not be a consistent problem in the way that it was last year and the previous years, where the goalies completely fell off the face of the map and allowed teams to just run roughshod over them and send them home for the rest of the summer. So I do believe that goaltending is the problem, but I don't believe the solution is replacing Kemper with Frankie. That's just that's too drastic at this point. Frankie is a good goalie. He is a good backup. He should not be the guy that you're looking to hand the keys over to. He's just not there yet. Could he be the guy in the future? Possibly. He's got a lot of good raw talent. He's got a lot of good things that you like about him, but he's still just not quite there. He's not the guy I'm going to hand the keys over to. So, moving on from a 4-1 loss, we're going to move over to a 5-2 win by the Avalanche in game three. That put them at 2-1 up in the series. The biggest question was, what was the biggest change in game plan from game two to game three? Game two saw the Blues make all of the adjustments. You saw the poke check was better. Their hustle and willingness to play defense was better. They blocked more shots. They did a lot of things right that you have to do to beat the Avalanche. In game three, all of the adjustments go to the Avalanche and Jared Bednar. It goes to him getting more aggressive, making calling plays that were about attacking and not backing off. That is where the Avalanche are the best. When the Avalanche are setting the pace, when they are pushing the envelope, that is where they are at their best in every way, defensively, offensively, goaltending. As long as the Avalanche are on attack, they will be successful and more than likely win. It's not a guarantee that they will win, but when they are aggressive, when they are pushing the envelope, that is when they are at their best. And that is what you saw in game three, where Kemper had a much better save percentage. Let me get that pulled up here. I want to get the exact number. Yes, he gave up 2 goals, but again, he stopped 29 of 31 shots for a 935 save percentage. Outside of one win, and we'll get to that here in a moment, but outside of one game and one win out of the games that they've won, the 3 games they've won, has Kemper had a less than 9.93 save percentage. He doesn't have to have a bunch of shots come his way, but when they do, he has to stop them. And the magic number seems to be a 93% save percentage. As long as he can stop 93% of the shots, they're golden. When they don't, the Avs have a losing record. That's from the regular season and the postseason. That's a number I talked about a bunch in my articles on theanswers42media.net. The articles might be a little dated, but the numbers are there for my receipts. I've said it from the beginning. It seems that the magic number is 0.930. The Avalanche have lost a total of 5 games, regular season and postseason, where Darcy Kemper has a 0.930 save percentage or higher. This is why I have harped so much on goaltending. Because this Avs team is going to score. As I stated, out of all the games that they played 4 games in the first series. They've now played 5 games in the second series. Only twice have they scored less than 2 goals. I'm sorry, only once have they scored less than 2, and only twice have they scored less than 4. So obviously, this offense is going to get it on just about every single night. They are going to give you the goals to win. If you can't stop them, if you can't get at least a .93 save percentage, yes, it's possible they can win with it lower. But again, the numbers don't lie. This team is almost unbeatable when Darcy Kemper has a .930 save percentage or higher. It is just almost impossible to beat this team if Kemper is on. And if he's on and the offense is off, that's even better because that's the time he needs to be on. If it's going to be a night where they only score 2 or 3 goals, he can't give up more than 2. He can't give up more than 1. That's just plain and simple how it has to be. It might sound unfair, but it's really unfair for a team to score 4 goals or more and lose. There is no top tier team in this league that has an offense that'll score 4 or more goals a night and lose when they score 4 or more goals. That just should not happen. But unfortunately, we have seen it. It just cannot happen again. So, again, biggest game plan change for the Avalanche from game 2 to 3 was simply Jared Bednar unleashing his beast and letting them eat. This is something that he has got to stay consistent with. And we'll talk about why here in just a moment, of why allowing his dogs to eat is the only way to be successful in these playoffs. So, does it mean anything? The Avs won a game where they were out hit because in game three, this was the only game that they have won where they were out hit. Why is that significant? Because of what we have talked about in many cases on this show with and without Callie. That is simply the fact that this team, up until this season, when you out hit them, you beat them. It was almost guaranteed. If you could get more physical than the Avalanche could, it was almost guaranteed that you were going to win. That was the exact tactic that Las Vegas took last year when they won 4 games in a row to bounce the Avalanche after they had won 6 games in a row. And the fact that they were able to bounce back in a game where they were out physical, they were out hit, and still win it handily. Not just barely squeaking by, not having to go into overtime. This 5-2 game in game three was never in doubt. Not for me, anyways. I don't know about y'all, but there was never a moment in that game where I was just like, man, this is bad. Even when the Blues had a lead, because outside of game five, the Avalanche had not scored first, yet had won 3 out of 4 games. So it talks to the resilience of this team, the ability for them to bounce back when you punch them in the mouth instead of going and crawling in a corner in the fetal position and crying. Like that is what the team used to do. This Avalanche team is not that team, not anymore. They are those dudes. They are more than happy to punch you right back in the mouth. So, that being said, it was huge to watch the Avalanche get out hit and still dominate a game. To never back down, keep pressing, keep attacking, no matter how hard they got hit, no matter how many times they got hit. And it was by a significant margin. They got out hit by over 11 hits in this game. So it wasn't like they were just out hit by 1 or 2. They were out hit by double digits. So this was a seriously physical game from the Blues, and the Avalanche came out on top. That had to prove huge for this team's confidence because there's a lot of guys here that were on those teams that allowed people to bully them. So to see their team react in a way that was positive and efficient and got them a win was absolutely huge. So the Avalanche winning a game after being out hit was absolutely monumental. And I think it had a lot to do with what happened in the next game, which is where Kadri got his hat trick after, I'm sure all of you know, him getting a lot of hate mail to the point where they had to call the St. Louis Police Department to come and protect Kadri in his hotel room because that's how graphic and vile the retarded, idiotic, just disgusting displays of bigotry that came out of St. Louis after Kadri had absolutely no chance to stop himself from landing on Bennington and Bennington getting hurt in the previous game, when we were just talking about game three, where Kadri was coming hot to the net, trying to make a play. The defender tripped him, flipped him over, and they both landed on the defender's goalie. So for any of you that are trying to justify these racist, just ridiculously disgusting insect husks of a human being, to any of you that want to try and justify anything that they did or said to Kadri, please get off my channel, unfollow me, block me, all those things. I don't want anything to do with you because you are a pathetic, sick, sick human being. Now, with that out of the way, Kadri got his sweetest revenge, getting a hat trick in St. Louis's barn in front of those same bigots that wanted to try and ask him questions like, where was he on 9/11? How childish are y'all? Like, seriously? We're still making 9/11 jokes? Like, when did your material die? 2005? Like, what is wrong with these people that not only are they so dumb they would say these things, but they're so outdated that they can't even be creative. Like these are jokes that conservatives said like days after 9/11. Like how old and ridiculously tired is your material? Please stop. None of you are funny. You're all dumb and it's retarded that y'all think that this is cool, that you are cool for saying these things and trying to defend these things. It doesn't make you a patriot. It makes you a piece of crap. Plain and simple. But just the sweetest revenge again. Kadri hat trick in their barn in front of the bigots. And then after the game, has the great quote: "For those that hate, this one's for you." Yes, Kadri, my guy, you did it. You made your statement. Absolutely epic. Helped to a 6-3 win. But there was something in this game we all should have paid a lot more attention to. And this is the fact that Kemper had a .85 save percentage. Again, what I said earlier, I never said was an end all be all. It is just much more likely that the Avs will win when he has a .930 save percentage or higher. This is one of the very, 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 very rare games that the Avalanche were able to just offensively dominate the game to the point that even though their goalie sucked, he only had 20 shots sent his way, but only stopped 15 in this game. So the fact that he was only able to muster an 85% save percentage against 20 shots was very concerning in hindsight. Everybody was over the moon with how Kadri was able to come in and make the statement that he did. But unfortunately, it covered up some of the warts that were going on. All right, I thought I heard something funny. Sorry, guys, I need to fix my. I realized just now how horrible I sounded. So I apologize. Hopefully that will help and get on the right mic instead of the poor mic that it was on. So I apologize for that. But getting back to what we were saying, we should have definitely paid more attention to Kemper's 850 save percentage. It might have helped us temper our expectations for Game 5, to say the least. So, again, great game, great moment. I don't want to take anything away from Kadri. He absolutely earned his moment. But people should have seen that and been scared. And the reason why is the very next game, the Avs entered Wednesday a win away from the conference finals. They just had to win one more game at home with Kemper. After that insane game, you have McKinnon come in after Kadri has a hat trick in St. Louis. Very next game, McKinnon goes superhuman, puts out his own hat trick, only to see Kemper give up the lead twice in the last 5 minutes. As you saw, the Avs had a 3-0 lead going into the last, I believe it was 7 minutes of the second period. Then Blues score a goal. Not too worried at this point. Like, okay, they got one. That's good. They were able to hold them off for the rest of the period. They ended the period, Avs up 3-1. We get into the third period. All of a sudden, St. Louis is now only within one. They're down 3-2, about 5 minutes into the period. Then, about 8 minutes left in the period, they tied it up 3-3. Then McKinnon goes on another plane of existence. Like we already thought he was in a different plane. Then he found another plane of existence, and all of a sudden makes one of the greatest single-handed, like, just sole person attempt goal I have ever seen in the playoffs. I mean, he danced around 3 dudes, moved the puck back and forth. I still don't understand how he made that last move
where he deked it to the left, was able to catch it with his stick, bring it back, and fire the shot all in one motion while on one skate. Like, that's insane. So he was able to just turn into a superhuman to give the Avs the lead again. All they have to do is hold off the Blues for 58 seconds. 58 seconds, less than a minute. And they are going to the Western Conference Finals. What happens with 7 seconds left? St. Louis Blues tie it up because, again, Kemper can't make the save. He just had to make that one save. And a play that I don't hear enough people talking about was right before the game-tying goal at the end of the third period with about 30 seconds left. JT Compher was flying down the left side of the ice, of the rink, and Falk from the Blues somehow was able to catch Compher, poke check it away, and saved Compher from getting a game. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't Callie again. But Falk saved the game for the Blues. If he does not hustle to break up that play, Compher scoring an empty net goal, and the Avs are going on to the Western Conference Finals. So I got to give kudos to Falk on that play, and then I have to rip Bednar for a second. Because after McKinnon got that go-ahead goal, should have been the game-winning goal, all of a sudden he went conservative. Because right after that goal was given up, the Blues coach called a timeout. And that gave time for both teams to come up with a strategy. The Blues came up with an attacking strategy. The Avs came up with a timid strategy that had them sit back instead of attacking. That cost them a game. That is exactly what cost them that game. I can't blame Kemper. I can't blame the defense. I can't blame the offense for not scoring enough because they scored 4 goals. There's no point. There's no way that a team this dominant should be losing a game when they score 4 goals. Your goaltender has got to keep them at 3 or less, which Kemper had done for every game of the series until this one. So really, it comes down to the fact that the Avalanche got way too timid. It's kind of like in football, for those of you that watch football or aren't that much into hockey. In football with the prevent defense, that's essentially what Bednar did. He went into a prevent defense, and that never wins you a game. Being conservative never wins anything. It's a loser mentality. Being conservative is the biggest loser mentality ever known to man in any context. So, with that being said, the Avalanche have been out-hit twice in the series, Game 2 and Game 5. A win and a loss. So what is the biggest issue standing in the way of the Avs in the conference finals, you may ask? I'll tell you. Being conservative and poor goaltending. It seems they go hand in hand with this team. As long as the Avalanche are attacking and it's keeping the other team on their toes, it seems like Kemper is in it. If they are sitting back and allowing the other team to just take shot after shot after shot after shot, he withers. They have to keep him clean. They have to keep the shots and the men off him, which they have done in every one of their wins where it has been dominating. Kemper has yet to see more than 32 shots in any game so far this season, this series, or actually even the postseason. That is the most shots he has seen from either opponent in either round. So it's not like he's being overworked. It's not about how many shots on goal there are. It's about whether or not the team is attacking. When the team gets conservative, Kemper gets conservative. When the team is on point, Kemper's on point. So, what is the biggest thing standing in the way of the Avalanche and the conference finals? Themselves. Plain and simple. The Avalanche didn't lose to the Blues yesterday because the Avalanche are bad or suck or anything. The Avalanche lost to the Blues because they allowed the Blues to get them out of their game. And I believe Bednar will learn his will learn his lesson. I think this is a tough lesson to learn, but I do believe he has learned it. And so, for the next question of y'all, I know y'all have, and I've seen it everywhere. Is there any reason to panic? No. The Avalanche still have 2 chances to get 1 win. I am still of the belief they will only need 1 more. So, again, to all Avalanche fans that are wanting to panic, wanting to throw in the towel, wanting to end everything and just burn all of their jerseys, chill out. They had 2 bad games so far this postseason. No team goes 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. It just doesn't happen. This is professional sports. This is not an amateur tournament where you can just have one team that's head and shoulders above all the rest. The Avalanche are the best team in the league, but that doesn't mean that they're the only good team in the league. The Blues are good. They have some of the better goaltending the Avalanche have seen so far in the play. Well, it's definitely the better. Because in the first series, they didn't get to see the Nashville starting goaltender. So it's definitely the best. And they have 2 guys that would really start on pretty much any team. I mean, would you not take the way Bennington has played up until game 2? Would you not have taken that over either Frankie or Kemper? I would. And Husso, the way he was able to battle yesterday and keep his team in it even when they were down 3-0 instead of letting it get out of hand like he had the previous game where Kadri had a hat trick and then 3 other guys scored 3 more goals to make it 6-1 at one point before it ended up 6-3. Like, those things are going to happen. Last night's going to happen. Game 2 is going to happen. Those stinkers are going to happen. It's about how they respond. And so far in this series, every time they've gotten knocked down, they've gotten right back up and made St. Louis pay. And I honestly believe that is what is going to happen. So, again, for all those that are panicking, the Avalanche are still up 3-2. So, why should you not panic? What players give me the best assurance in my reasoning? Excuse me. And I will tell you, the number 1 player, and this might get you by surprise, but it's JT Comfort. The reason for that is the only thing that was truly consistent in both losses were the fact that those were the only 2 games that the Avs lost the faceoff battle. Those are the only 2 games that JT Comfort did not dominate the faceoff. So, I'm going to throw down the gauntlet challenge. I will say that JT Comfort will not allow that to happen because I know if I noticed it, he noticed it. Again, save percentages, different. Scoring, different. Defense, different. Everything else between those 2 games were different outside of the face-off win percentage. So, I'm going to say that JT Comfort comes out in the next game tomorrow night, has a heck of a game, if not on the stat sheet, in the face-off circle. That man is ridiculous. I believe it was game 4 where the man was like, at one point, he was like 9 for 9 in face-off wins. Like, he's insane. So to think that he's going to have back-to-back off nights when he never has, I will go with the law of averages and say JT Comfort comes out, does his thing, wins those face-offs, gives the Avalanche the extra advantage that face-off wins give you, which is puck possession, which is everything in hockey. Whoever possesses the only way you can score is if you possess the puck. So as many times as you can get the puck in your possession as possible bodes well for your scoring opportunities. And that's what happened with the Blues. They started off the game yesterday. The Avs had them doubled up on shots on goal all the way through the second period. Then by the time the end of the third period happened, they had taken the lead in face-off win win percentage, and they had taken the lead in shots on goal. That is why faceoffs are so important. It's all about puck possession and getting that puck in your possession as much as possible. If you don't do it, you usually lose. So JT Compher's my guy to watch. If he's winning the faceoffs, this series is over. If he's losing the faceoffs, we're looking at a game 7. But again, I'm going to put my faith in Comp and say that he does it and gets the job done. So my prediction for game 6 tomorrow is the end of the series. Avalanche will win, and it won't even be relatively close. I see it being a 6-2 final score. Avalanche come out hot, stay hot. Kemper does his thing. Bednar makes his adjustments, and the offense goes scorched earth. McKinnon is a different animal since the beginning of game 5. He is going to continue that. Him and the two-man game between him and Nichushkin will be deadly. And the Avalanche will win again 6-2 tomorrow night to end the series and go to the conference finals for the first time in a decade. So unfortunately, it looks like we will not be having Callie here today. We are coming to the end of the show, and I am running out of voice since I have had to talk this entire time. So I appreciate those that did show. Make sure when you do watch, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you get the notifications and know every time that we're on, and you don't have to guess. So also right down here in the description and right below me are all of our socials. Right below me is the Twitter, which we just hit 1.1 thousand followers, y'all. Tay42 fam, y'all are absolutely epic. We appreciate every single one of y'all. I know I said I'm going to be giving away some things, and I will be doing that tomorrow. I've just been a little bit busy with some things. It's finals week. I apologize, but I will get to the giveaway tomorrow. Check out Twitter. That's where it'll be announced because that's who's going to win. If you want to win, you got to go over to Twitter and you have to follow. That is the only people that are eligible to win because they are the ones that are showing us the most love. So if you want a chance at a $50 gift card from fanatics.com, yes, again, $50 gift card from fanatics.com where you can go and get whatever team swag you want to get for whatever team it is that you love. Make sure that you're paying attention to the Twitter tomorrow because that is where it'll be announced, and it will be a Twitter follower that wins. So again, if you're not a follower on Twitter, you better get over there because you can't win if you're not a follower on Twitter. So with all that being said, I think we have come to the end. As always, for the Answers 42 Media Network and the Sasquatch Says, I am your host, Dan Wetstein. Unfortunately, Callie's not here with us. We'll try again next week, and hopefully she'll be here to the left of me, and she'll be able to give her Callie takes that we all love so much. And make sure you stick around because in just a little bit over 30 minutes from now, about 45 minutes from now, I will be back with my boy Dylan with the Breaking Broncos so we can talk about the Broncos here in about 45 minutes right here on the same channel. So I'll be looking for you all there. Thank you again for all that showed up and that might be listening later. It does not matter if you were here live. You matter just as much as anybody that might have been here live. Your likes, your comments, all of those things matter just as much. So, and we love y'all just as much. We understand people got lives, people got schedules. You can't always be here when we're live, but if you can watch us later, man, we love you just as much. It matters just as much. So, with all that being said, for the Answers 42, don't question the blue.